score, which is a record, obviously, including the Buffalo game. How do you explain that you're the ones that make the play to win the game consistently like that?
Yeah, some of those were just how the ball bounced, literally, and others, I know our guys work hard at all the different situations that we've had, and during training camp, you pound those things out. Normally, you don't get to use them all. I feel like we used most of the situations this year, but I would also tell you that the guys, they obviously don't give up. They're going to play 4 quarters for you.
Andy, right here on your left, sir, front row.
Gotcha.
Patrick, everyone knows about his physical abilities and the things that he does, but I don't necessarily think he gets enough credit for his mental acumen as a quarterback. Could you talk about that side of him, please?
Yeah, sure. Patrick's a real sharp guy, very smart. Spends a lot of time at the game and making sure that all these crazy formations that we have, that he can digest them first and then be able to spit them out in a short period of time. You know, he's able to see and anticipate what the defense is going to do. So there's some things there that you got to know where your guys are. You got to know where their guys are, and he's able to digest all that too. So he's a sharp kid.
Andy, a lot of the younger players talk about Travis's practice habits, and we see it during training camp, but what stands out, 20-some weeks into the year about just the way he is on the practice field?
Yeah, Sam, I mean, you see it every day too, that he goes 100 miles an hour. He wants to be in on every snap. We monitor that, but he wants to fight you when he has to come out. It's the same way during games. So it doesn't matter if it's a walkthrough, if it's full speed practice, he wants to be a part of it and be in there. And it's not just when he's getting the ball or being dialed up there. It's literally all the time. So, but again, we try to monitor that so he can stay fresh through the season like we do the other players. But he lets it be known that he likes to be in there all the time.
Andy, DeAndre Hopkins was mentioning how much he's been revitalized by joining you guys midseason. What have you seen from him since he joined your team, and do you hope to be able to use him a little more in the offense against the Eagles on Sunday?
Yeah, I knew we were getting a good player. Played against him quite a little bit, and but I didn't know the leadership part. He's been tremendous that way. Just he hasn't complained that we're spreading the ball around or utilizing other guys along with him. He's willing to share in that way. So that whole senior leadership part that he's brought, I've really appreciated. And he's a unique route runner. He knows how to set things up. He's shared that with some of the guys, and I appreciate that part too.
As you think back to, and right here, as you think back to adding Steve in 2019, I just was wondering if you could put into words what he's meant to building the program in Kansas City.
Sure. Yeah, we appreciated Bob Sutton, all that he did, and then Spags was able to come in and jump into that spot and done a great job with the guys. I think the thing I appreciate most is watching the trust that the players have in them. That means that you're doing a whole lot of things right. These guys, you're not going to pull the wool over their eyes, and not for as long as he's been doing it. So they trust his scheme. He's a good teacher. They trust him as a person, knowing that he's going to try his best to put you in the best position for your skill that he possibly can, and try to highlight that part.
Good morning, Andy. Well, I'm Scott.
I got you. I'm going side to side. This is like a ping pong match. I got it.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Thank you very much. You guys are class acts anyways. Nevertheless, you've seen a lot of great quarterbacks over the years. been in this game a lot. Are there any particular legendary quarterbacks that Patrick Mahomes reminds you of? This guy is the most poised quarterback under pressure, and we know that his next stop after Kansas City is going to be Canton, Ohio. But I know that there has to be a few guys that come to mind that Patrick probably reminds you of.
Yeah, I've tried not to compare them. I mean, I've been blessed to have been around some great ones. And listen, you can take a little piece out of every guy and say he's kind of like this guy, he's kind of like that guy, but he's really rewriting it for himself. And that's what I noticed about being around the Brett Favres and the Don McNabbs and all these guys, Alex. The thing goes on, Jeff Garcia. I've been blessed to be around just a ton of them. And they all kind of put their mark on it, their own mark. And then somebody will ask that question down the road about some other quarterback, and he'll probably say the same thing. The coach will probably say the same thing I'm saying, that they kind of draw, you can draw a little bit from each guy, but it's really what makes him unique, is that he does so many things so well, and in a tough sport, I mean, there's the mental part of it, and then there's the physical part of it too. And you're back there and you've got 300-pound men bearing down on you, and you got to make a decision in a split second, and sometimes those 300-pound men land on you, and you get a few of those hitting you. That's to be able to get back up and stand in that pocket again is something, some mental toughness that takes place there. So.
Hi, Andy. Jory Epstein with Yahoo Sports over here in the back.
Okay, here we go.
When Howie Roseman was asked this week about his philosophy of building through the trenches and investing consistently in offensive and defensive line, he said that conversations with you really shaped that philosophy. What do you remember about the conversations you two had, and especially if you have any examples of what you taught him?
Yeah, sure. I'm a Howie Roseman fan, so I think he does a great job. The way that he's replenished his football team and it has been something to watch for sure. And he believes in that. He believes in the offensive and defensive line. You kind of start there, and if they're not functioning right, then normally your team's not functioning right, that side of the ball, whichever one it is. So that's the way he's built that team, and you can see that in their strengths there. And then it's the coach's responsibility to take advantage of the strengths that each player has. So, but he's given the coaches an opportunity to be successful with the players that he's brought in, and it's Howie, and then it's the group that he's hired around him too. So that's also part of that job, and that you bring in the right people. And so he's got some good worker bees there, man, that go out and find these guys, which is important.
Yeah, Andy, over to the other side here.
Yep.
You clinched pretty early the number 1 seed, and you rested guys against the Broncos. Was that nevertheless tough to take as that game was playing out? And did you worry that you would lose a little bit of edge?
I wasn't worried about the edge, but I don't like getting my tail kicked either. So they got after us pretty good. I can't tell you I was liking that, no. But I didn't feel like we'd lose our edge, no.
Andy, looking at the stats, it appears maybe that 4th down might actually be Patrick Mahomes' best down this year. What does it say about him as a quarterback that he can perform so well on a potential turnover down, on the high pressure down?
Yeah, 4th downs have been good for us. You're seeing that more in this league now. Make sure I'm answering your question right. I think that's what you said, right? 4th down. So we have trust in our guys, trust in Patrick, and we trust the game plan. If we've got something there that we feel is a viable play for that situation, we're going to try to use it within reason. So I think that combination, but most of all, having trust in Patrick and the players, I think is big, and knowing Patrick will take care of the football the right way, whether we're running it or optioning or throwing the football.
Hey, Coach. Xavier Worthy on your team is the youngest player on either team at the Super Bowl. How does the preparation change between a player like him versus a veteran who's been here before?
Yeah, he's a poised kid. So we're talking about Xavier, and he does it with a smile on his face every day. He comes out and works hard, wants to get better. I mean, all the things that you want from a player, he has. So I would tell you he's probably mature, at least in the football world, mature for his age and experience. And he jumps in, he's willing to listen, which I think is important. When the teammates are talking, these guys that have a little experience are talking to him, he's taking it all in. So that's not always the case with players.
Hi, Andy.
Gotcha.
Justin Reid is one of those guys that you acquired in 2022 and has been here throughout this championship run. Just what is it about him that has made him such an integral part of this defense and just the team you've been building over this last 3 years?
Yeah, well, he's got a good name. So, I mean, Justin's a smart kid and a heck of a football player, very tough. He'll come up and introduce himself to you aggressively. So, but most of all, he's a good football player, and he's got the aptitude to take all the stuff in that Spags throws at him, and then be able to make the calls back there and kind of get everybody going in the right direction.
Coach, over here on your left.
Yep.
Or front row.
Front row. Gotcha.
There's sure to be some crucial moments this game. Do you have a memory of a play or a game where Patrick kind of earned your trust to step up to those big moments?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the first game that he started against Denver, his rookie year, when we had already clinched a spot, kind of the same situation we had this year. And he came in, and the poise, you could see the poise, you could see the confidence, but there was a humble side to it. And I kind of went, all right, that's pretty impressive. And then some of those great defensive players on their side kept looking over at me going, that I'd had in a Pro Bowl before. They were going, oh, okay, we see why you like him. And so anyways, that's probably where the firsthand, I mean, we obviously had a lot of trust in him to draft him as high as we did, and move up to get him. But I would tell you, from a coaching standpoint, being on the field with him, that would have been the first game.
Coach, all the way back here on the
Gotcha.
camera thing.
Gotcha.
Now that you got Hollywood back healthy, and it seems like you got a full stable of, do you feel like you're seeing the passing game that you expected to see, even though you don't have Rashee Rice?
Yeah, and Rasheed's doing well. He's healing up good, which is positive for next year. We're as healthy as we've been to this point, knock on wood. So you got to see that the last couple games with with the receiving core at least, and the running backs likewise are doing better there. So, but the receivers, yes, I tell you, them being healthy gives you a better chance. Now we're going against a good secondary on Sunday, and we've got to make sure that we're doing things the right way and so on. Make sure we get these next couple of days of practice down. But I feel comfortable with that group. They work their tail off. They've got experience in most areas there, and they love to play. And they seem to be on the same page with Patrick.
Last two guys. Go ahead, Haley. Coach, right here. We've been able to talk with all the players and ask them why they think it's been such a success this season. A lot of them have hinted at the culture of the team. Who do you think sets that in the locker room?
Yeah, blessed to have some guys in there, Haley, that are real good leaders. Patrick and Trav are the ones that jump out at you, and Chris Jones and Bolden. I mean, all these guys. Bolt's a big part of it. Justin Reid, who we asked about. Anyway, there's a lot of good leadership in that locker room, but I'd probably say those top three is where it starts, and is they all bring their own personality to it. From Patrick kind of just being that steady part, you get two characters with Kelce and Chris Jones and what they bring. So they can be as serious as can be, and at the same time they can bust the room up. So, yeah.
In these moments, where are some of the leadership styles or the leaders that you kind of look to or gain from in these moments? Who do you kind of mock yourself after or go to when you're in these moments?
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've been around some great coaches, and from high school, from Little League, high school on up, I was blessed that way to have these great coaches through junior college, through college, into the NFL. And then there are some coaches that I met in the NFL, the John Maddens and so on, the older guys, Dick Vermeils, that have been a big influence there. So, but working with Mike Holmgren, if you talk just NFL, working with Mike Holmgren was I was very lucky and fortunate to have been on his staff, so and watch him, how he went about his business.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, good. Thank you.